Peace, soul group. Just wanted to make a little introductory video. I don't even think I said that word right, but it is what it is. A little introduction video to spiritual coordination. Shout out to the Archangel Uriel Dolo the Pilot Man for giving me an opportunity to share my knowledge, share my own personal wisdom with y'all. Because, you know, when I started this YouTube channel, he and Ariel XY, and shout out to him, I know he's kind of going missing right now, but shout out to him if you're listening to this. They were really the ones that inspired me to want to make YouTube videos in the first place. Ramhotep El 13 Signs Astrology was one of the first sparks, but at the time I didn't really feel like I had what it takes to be a spiritual teacher. And it ain't even about necessarily being a spiritual teacher, it's just giving wisdom on your own personal situations that you've gone through. So anyway, this isn't going to be a long video at all, just a quick one-on-one because I'm on my break right now at work, and I'll incorporate that too into this spiritual coordination video too as well. So spiritual coordination. Now spiritual coordination deals with the music realm also. So a lot of it deals with the right and the left brain in a lot of different aspects. Now the right brain aspect of spiritual coordination is you having your own internal rhythm, and you walk in your life to your own internal rhythm. Now, what does this necessarily mean? Let's say you have a hot temper. Let's use me for an example. My Mars is in Leo. So with Mars being in Leo, Uriel broke this down in a video too. It's kind of like a reverse opposite situation. Since the sun is exalted in Aries, and the sun rules Leo and Mars rules Aries, Mars being in Leo kind of plays out the same attributes as the sun being in Aries, just in a different perspective. So with that being said, it's very subtle, and I have Mars in retrograde too. It's very subtle, but I do have a tendency to have a short spark all the time. It's not as bad as it used to be back in the day in my past situations, but it's still there dormant, if you know what I'm trying to say. So walk into your own spiritual coordination. So you have a rhythm. Now when people push you past this rhythm, when you start to feel anxious and you start to feel your heart race and everything like that, that's when your tempo is speeding up and everything. Your internal song is starting to speed up. And you know, when a song is sped up, you have to very carefully pinpoint each part of that song because it's going so fast. So with you getting spiritually coordinated on the right brain aspect, basically what you're doing is you need to pinpoint all those little intricate points that are going on while you're being anxious. Let me use an example. When I was at work the other day, I had a customer, I work in retail by the way. I had a customer that tried to confuse me and like try to throw me off my course, and being very janky, had a very bad attitude with me and everything like that. Tried to kind of run off with some extra money. The people over there had a certain term for the people that do this kind of shit, but I can't even tell you what the term was, to be honest with you. Now, with that being said, my heart was racing. I'm a naturally anxious person. You know, my natal chart, I mean, I'm not saying it's an excuse, but sometimes I just can't genuinely help it. You know, my hands start shaking. Now, I didn't lash out. I didn't act out. I didn't show my ass. I didn't play out full moon situations because this was during the full moon energy and everything like that. This was when the moon was actually going into the Cancer Leo cusp. So, you know, already that energy right there can play out to a situation of you showing your ass if you do not have control over the situation. And I do have a moon in Cancer, so I was able to kind of, you know, tap into that aspect a little bit. But even if you didn't have moon in Cancer and you were playing the situation out, it wouldn't be an excuse to fall victim to these energies anyway. You would just have to use your own natal alignments in your own natal chart to rectify the situation. With that being said, you need to pinpoint what's irritating you. You need to kind of realize, a close Scorpio friend of mine also told me this, and I'm going to intemplate this. That's not a fucking word. I'm going to incorporate this into the spiritual coordination science. You need to realize when you're irritated. You need to realize when your tempo is speeding up. And when you realize your tempo is speeding up, you can consciously slow the metronome down. You know, your internal rhythm and your internal coordination is based upon your internal metronome. And a metronome, you can manipulate the tempo of a metronome. You know, a metronome, you use that to practice. That's the left brain aspect of spiritual coordination. Now this is when we're talking into like practicing music and, you know, actually, using a metronome to get your timing right and, you know, build finger muscle memory, build dexterity in general. But that plays out on an internal level too, because it's the same concept. You know, you're slowing, you're playing, but at the same time, even if you don't know how to quite fully slow down the tempo of your own internal tempo, aka your heart racing, aka you being in a anxious situation and everything like that, then if you're mentally flexible enough, you could practice, you know, mentally do mental gymnastics with the situation, you know, not acting out, not having an attitude back and everything like that. That won't play out a catastrophic situation. So you practicing, so it's almost like you're practicing your own rhythm, and you're trying to get down your muscle memory for your rhythm internally while going through these situations. It's a super deep science. I'm really just scratching the surface. I need to write my own notes. I need to go into deep meditation thought. I appreciate the emails I've gotten so far asking me about this information, because I really feel like this is going to help a lot of the soul group members. And shout out to all the other soul group members that were shouted out in the videos too. If we all come together and we all put our own unique energies with what Uriel does, what Deanna Oten does, what Lex Crystal Goddess does, what Phoenix 369 Sierra Leone does, and everything like that. And I know I'm leaving people out and everything like that, but we have a bunch of other people, a bunch of people in the soul group. We are a whole community. We are all one body of water. So, you know, with all our sciences combined, we can be this big bubble that will come and change the world. So, air, fire, water, and earth. I think I'm gonna start using that in my introductions now. Thank you, Archangel Uriel, and peace.